This is a reading on India's demographic transition and its consequences for development. It was a lecture given by Tim Dyson in 2008 in Institute of Economic Growth, Delhi. Now, in this lecture, he has talked about certain characteristics of India's demographic transition and its effect on development. And he's also talked about the future scenarios, okay? And there's some discussions about several topics towards the end of the article. I would want, in case if you can just read that article also, I mean, that will really help you out, how he has developed the thought process. I picked up some of the most important points in the lecture in order to understand this, right? Now, what Tim Dyson is trying to say is that India's demographic transition, it began somewhere in 1920s and 1930s, right? There was the reduction in death rate, and this reduction in death rate, it initiated the process of demographic transition in the country. And if you look at this process of beginning of demographic transition, you find this, that during these decades, in 1920s and 30s, the instances of famines and epidemics, they declined, right? And they declined a lot, which led to an increase in life expectancy. Okay, in the previous decades before 1920s and 1930s, there were many instances of epidemics and famines in the country, and that has taken a huge toll on life of the people of this country during that time. But during 1920s and 30s, there were decline in famines and epidemics, which has led to some modest increase in life expectancy. Then he's trying to say that the crude birth rate during that time was around 45 per thousand, right? And these small gains in mortality, right? This mortality has declined because of decline in famines and epidemics, and which resulted in some improvement in mortality, say small gains in mortality. It led to an increase in the population growth. Right, and average population growth during that time, it was somewhat around over 1% during 1920s, 30s, and 40s. Okay, so this was the first phase which was going on. Now, then he's trying to say that if you look at late 1940s and 50s, what's happening is that India experienced a very, very rapid decline in mortality, right? Rapid decline in mortality, and the evidence of which he's trying to give in terms of that life expectancy between 1946 to 1952, life expectancy increased by almost 2 years per year, right? So this shows that mortality was declining very, very rapidly. So he started by saying that there was a reduction in death rate in 1920s and 30s. This reduction in death rate was basically due to decline in famines and epidemics, which resulted in increase in life expectancy. These small gains in mortality has led to the annual population growth to be over 1% during 1920s, 30s, and 40s. But one more thing is also telling that between 1940s, your late 1940s and 50s, there was a very, very rapid decline in mortality, and which he is giving an evidence by saying that life expectancy increased by almost two years per year, right? Now, then he's trying to say that how exactly life expectancy increased. I mean, he has given several reasons for that. The first reason he gave was that there was control of infections and parasitic diseases during that time, right? And these diseases could be smallpox, malaria, cholera. So there was a control of these infections and these parasitic diseases, which led to an increase in life expectancy, which led to decline in mortality. The other was that there was a spread of immunization coverage there was a spread of immunization